is up, everyone? This is Sam from 64 Wheels, and I think this is my first face reveal on this channel, but I've shown my face on TikTok a few times, but I sound a little funny because I have some allergies in this lovely Ohio fall weather, but I wanted to show you my 1-1 car project, because I always show 64 wheels, obviously, but this is a 1974 Plymouth Fury 3 fleet package that I just got out of a huge Mopar auction in Texas. So I don't know, you might have seen this car on the channel earlier, but that is a 75 Grand Fury I bought 6 years ago probably, and I've had a ton of fun with it. I love these big body Chrysler cars. They're tons of fun. So I've really wanted like a real fleet package car, like a police package, fleet, whatever you call them. We'll get into what this car is a little later, but somebody posted on one of the boards on Facebook about this huge auction and that they had a few police cars for sale. So this was one of the, they said it was a police car, but it's a fleet car. It's a little bit different. But I watched it for like 2 or 3 months. I applied to bid. They didn't okay me to bid on it until like 2 weeks before time, and I think that's just what they let everyone do. So I ended up bidding on it a ton. I bid on a 78 Fury, New Mexico Fury too, but this is the one I actually wanted, so I was glad I didn't win two because it was a pain to get shipped anyways. So I ended up winning it. I paid $2,500 for this bad boy. So the gray one I just showed you, that is just a regular civilian car, and that was $2,300 just, you know, 5 or 6 years ago when I got it. So I thought that was a pretty good deal. Now this car is not running. It has sat in Texas for probably 20 years not running, so it's very dusty. It's got a lot of mouse traps in it. The whole inside smells terrible. It smells like mouse piss. It's so bad. I can't even stand to be in it. So the first thing I want to do, of course, though, is to get it running. So it took a little bit to get back from Texas because it was a non-running car. So when they delivered it, it was hard to push off the ramp. What I'm currently doing now is going through the engine bay and seeing what's missing or broken or what needs replaced. So far I've spent roughly $200 on getting extra fluids, new oil filter, new air cleaner, new plug wires, because mice, I'll show you here in a second, but mice went through and ate some of the wires and the spark plug wires and some other things. So I bought new coolant for it. It's a really cool car. This is a 400 big block Chrysler. It is an HP model, so it has 250, or it doesn't have 250 horsepower right now. It had 250 horsepower from the factory, so that might not seem crazy, especially for such a heavy car, but in 1974, that was more horsepower than the base Corvette, than I think the 2-barrel 350 Corvette, which is crazy. So you had to get a optional Corvette engine to have more horsepower than this car. And this isn't even the top dog. The 440 was the big motor, and that had 275 horsepower. So this is a pretty cool car to have. I'm really pumped about it. I'm excited. I love working on these cars and driving them around. So I'm gonna show you real quick. I've been overlaying some beauty shots, or at least that's my plan in the edit. But I'm gonna show you some of the engine bay and stuff real quick, just to show what they've eaten up, and then I'm about to go to the auto parts store and buy a few things. So all right, here's the beast right here. I just went and backed up real quick so you could see it. It's tan, it's beige, it's very plain looking, but I'm excited to fix it up and get it back on the road. So this is how I got it from Texas, probably about a month ago, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I don't know. As you can see, it has a lot of like critter action going on. So there's a ton of dust on it from Texas. I've never been to Texas, but I've seen on TV it looks pretty dusty, which is better than Ohio rust, because I've bought so many cars from Ohio or this side of the country, and they've just been rusty and terrible. This one I actually lucked out on. It wasn't very rusty at all. That's just like patina from me taking the vinyl top off and doing some other things. So that's like kind of made patina. But this is cool because I've never had a car from out west, and it's totally different from trying to like correct a car from Ohio. So as you can see, I mean, there's dust, there's critter stuff everywhere. There's just all kinds of issues with it from a car sitting so long. So the first thing I did, I'm just telling you my whole experience because I've been watching a lot of Vice Grip Garage videos. Shout out to him. He has, I think his name is Derek. A lot of good tips of restoring a car that has sat for so long, or just getting it running at least. So the first thing I did actually was get the hood popped, it was kind of sticky, and then I put some WD-40 on it, let it sit overnight, and now it pops okay. Which was kind of nice because that's such a pain to break like a hood wire release, because it just goes downhill from there. So the first thing I'm going to do is open the radiator cap. Now I opened these originally, but like when the car first got here, just to check them out, but I didn't record it. So this sucker is bone ass dry. It's definitely dry. Like the seals are all dry. The lid has like nice patina on it. It's not rusted through or anything. And then as I looked at the radiator, this is actually, according to the seller, they had Steve, I'm probably gonna screw his name up, Steve from Hot Rod Magazine, Steve Manguda.
Steve Mignondi here.
I can't remember what his name is, I can't pronounce it. But he actually did a video on this car for the auction house, and he said that this was the big boy, like police Hemi spec radiator. It actually does have a trans cooler down there. So it's pretty cool to have this because it is definitely bigger than my 75. A lot of stuff on this car is different from my 75. So I know it's hard to see down there, but it does have the trans cooler, but it is also very like green, where it's been leaking over the years. So I don't know if it's even good. That's another thing I'll have to check and see, maybe put some water in. The bad thing is right now in Ohio, it's 5 o'clock exactly almost, and it's about to be dark because we're getting into winter. So just to go back here and look at the critter before it gets too dark, but if you can see right there, there are two connectors that have been chewed through, which is a bummer because there's a lot of other stuff back there that's been chewed through. When I was looking at some of the plugs down there, I noticed this also, and then those little bastards ate the antenna wire too. So this, I didn't really care about the radio on this car, but it just makes me worried because I don't know what else they ate. So up here you can see another part. This is like one of the, I think this is an AC line of some sort or wire that they ate. That's missing the coil wire, but I bought all new already there, because I kind of, even from the pictures online, I knew since I won it, I was like, okay, it's going to need a few things. So I'm going to open the oil cap. I know it's not the best view of it here at all. Let me see if I can get my flashlight. So inside it looks okay. It actually looks pretty clean. It could definitely use some oil. But it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look like there's any like cracking or metallic shards in there or anything like that. So I'm a little optimistic about that one. I don't know if I should be or not, but that's what it is. So let's see. I know when I got it delivered, the guide, there is no brake fluid in it. So and as you can see, there is a little bit of rust along here from where it looks like it has leaked out over the years. And even my 75 that I drive every day, it looks like this, like these get surface rust because they're not coated. So that doesn't worry me as much. I'm gonna look at that. It hasn't been leaking anything because there's hardly any fluids in it. The power steering, check that sucker out. That is dry too. It's probably, I mean, it sat for what, 30 years. The owner of the auction, he bought the car at an auction in 1999. So there's the auction number still on the window from where I bought it. But some of the auction paperwork, I'll have to show that to you at some point, maybe when we get to the interior video, where he bought it at the auction. So that was kind of cool to have two auction paperworks. But so everything, so here, let's check and see here. Look at the oil. I mean, the oil's dirty, but it's there. I'm gonna smell it real quick. It smells a little gassy, which I don't know if that's good or bad, because this car hasn't had gas in it for a long time, but just in general, carbureted cars, to me, the oil always smells like gas. So I'm not a pro at carbureted cars. I don't claim to be, but I drive one all the time and I do work on it a lot. So that's my experience. The trans fluid should be back here too. Let's check that out. Remember, this car hasn't been driven or anything done to it in probably 20 years at least. So, I mean, the trans fluid looks solid. It doesn't smell burny or anything, so that's a good sign. So I'm seeing good signs. I hope I'm not jinxing myself by finding all these things, but... So another thing that I got really excited, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get it to run today. So a quick look at it, and I knew I was not gonna get it to run today, even though I have plugs, you know, new spark plug wires and all that junk, because I think this is one of the electric ignition, I can't remember the name of the part right now, but it's obviously missing. On my 75, I can go and look, which is nice because I have a reference, even though it's a different engine, they still basically have the same electronic ignition system. So this piece right here is missing, and then when you come over here, I can clearly see something in the wheel well is missing, and it is the voltage regulator. So those are, I believe you can get both of those at O'Reilly's. I bought them before for my Plymouth. They're like 20 bucks. They're not terrible. So that's another thing I'm gonna have to go get tonight, is those parts. And then another thing about working on old cars, so here's some of the parts. Here is the spark plugs O'Reilly's gave me. I like O'Reilly's, whatever your parts place is, you know, your local guy always does you right. But so this is the plug they gave me. It is the 43S, and when I pulled, this is the only work I've done on this thing. I pulled the plug, 2 of them, just to make sure, and this is an R44S. So this is an actual different size plug than they gave me. Even though I told them it was a 400 HP. So I'm gonna go back to the parts store tonight and see if they made a mistake or if the wrong plugs are in this car, because that could be a possibility. It's not always the parts guy's fault. Sometimes it actually could be. So I pulled another one just to make sure, and it is also a 44S. So that's where I'm at on it right now. So I need to clean out the stuff, like the mouse junk, and see what's actually missing. I need to go pick up these 2 parts since I know that they are missing, and then while I'm kind of doing that, I'll show you the parts that are missing. My 75 here, this is a 360 2-barrel. It's definitely not a hot rod by any means, but I drive it like the Blues Brothers. So here's the box that's missing on the 74, and this is also missing, but this is a horizontal, where the other one looked like it had 2 holes for it vertically. But this is definitely missing. I have to do some research to see what that is on the 74. And there is the voltage regulator that is missing, and it does have the wires, so I did know, you know, over there that's missing. So here's what a relatively clean one looks like. So there's a lot of stuff back there. I know it's getting a little dark, but there's a lot of stuff to clean up and do, but I'm really excited about it. So if you like Hot Wheels, I'll have more of that coming soon too. But if you like real car stuff too, stay tuned, because I'm gonna have more of this coming soon.